Finding a loadout that works well wherever you take it is tough. For the Warlock, the Attunement of Grace is a versatile one-size-fits-all solution to the galaxy's toughest problems. Today we're going to go over some exotics and loadouts that make this subclass branch feel complete, and then we're going to talk about how to maximize the Attunement of Grace. Let's get started. The Attunement of Grace is Destiny 2's only support class, and as such, it doesn't pack as much of a punch as the other subclasses. But its healing abilities allow Guardians to fight longer and harder without fearing death at the hands of an overload Minotaur. Its most important ability is Divine Protection. Holding down your grenade button will transform it from a lethal grenade into a health pickup that instantly heals allies to full and provides them with a small overshield. Every Guardian on your fire team can pick up the Divine Protection at least once, but the grenade won't linger forever. Your melee ability, Guiding Flame, burns a single target hit and deals damage over time, while you and your nearby allies receive a weapon damage buff for a few seconds. The passive ability, Benevolent Dawn, allows you to use your supporting abilities more frequently. Whenever you provide any type of support to your teammates, healing or damage buffs, your abilities recover faster. A single activation of Benevolent Dawn will return about 50% of your ability cooldown, but because you have 3 abilities to rotate between, you'll always have a buff or a heal on the field, so your abilities will constantly be regenerating faster than normal. Finally, your super is Well of Radiance. On activation, you spawn a giant rift that lasts for 30 seconds. It heals and overshields everyone inside and grants them a damage buff. The well has a sword in the center of it, and if it's destroyed, the well will deactivate. Now let's talk about loadouts. If you're interested in taking a more aggressive approach to things, you can combine the Sunbracer's exotic gloves with high strength and the armor mods Momentum Transfer, Ashes to Assets, and Breach Refractor. The Sunbracer's exotic trait increases the duration of solar grenades, and melee ability kills grant you a buff called Sunbracer's Ready. After throwing a grenade, the buff now allows you to throw solar grenades without a cooldown for 5 seconds. During this time, you can cover an entire battlefield with fire, but as tempting as that sounds, it's always a good idea to throw at least one healing grenade so you can trigger Benevolent Dawn to speed up your other ability cooldowns. The most important thing to remember with the Attunement of Grace is that, above all, you want to be supporting your team. So even if your loadout is designed to slay enemies, always look for opportunities to heal with grenades and rifts. Speaking of rifts, the best way to increase the frequency at which you can use them is with the Stag exotic helmet. Its exotic trait is Dearly Departed. When critically wounded, your rift cooldown is reduced by a fixed percentage, and on death you spawn a healing rift. After being critically wounded, you gain a debuff called Nearly Departed, during which time being critically wounded won't give you rift energy back. The death component of the Stag has a lot of value in the Crucible, but I'm more interested in the PvE implications. If you've been through the Nightfall ordeal on Legend or Master difficulty, then you'll already know that enemies are significantly more accurate and significantly more deadly. Having the Stag equipped will give the Attunement of Grace's already heightened ability regeneration a nice boost, but it'll also ensure that you always have a rift at critical moments. As strong as Benevolent Dawn is, a single activation of this passive ability will only restore about 50% of your ability cooldowns. Getting critically wounded with the Stag equipped will fill in the rest. So how does Armor 2.0 come into play with this helmet? The class item mod Dynamo grants super energy when your class ability is used with enemies nearby. If you position yourself near enemies, activate your rift, then allow yourself to be critically wounded or let it happen organically, which it will, you'll have a second rift ready to place for even more super energy. The Well of Radiance is a very powerful tool, and the ability to activate it more consistently is huge. With the Stag equipped, I like to have at least 2 Paragon mods equipped to reduce the rift's 83-second cooldown, and for the rest of my armor stats and mods, I like a balanced spread. Last but certainly not least, the Attunement of Grace's subclass-specific exotic, the Phoenix Protocol, is one of the strongest pieces you can equip with this subclass. Its exotic trait, Battle Hearth, causes kills and assists made from inside the Well of Radiance to grant bonus super energy. It's simple, but very effective. While wearing this chest piece, you want as much intellect as possible. I like tier 8 and above. And anything to increase your super energy gain is valuable. The faster you get your super, the faster you can take advantage of the Phoenix Protocol. Each of these exotics and the loadouts surrounding them has a slightly different playstyle, but they're all for the Attunement of Grace, and that has its own unique playstyle that we're going to talk about next. We're going to dive into a live commentary where I'll go over the ins and outs of being an Attunement of Grace. Before we continue with the video, I want to give a special shout out to all of my patrons. You guys already know this, but you're freaking awesome, and the support you provide is invaluable. I mean, it has a value attached to it, but what I mean is I greatly appreciate what you guys do. It is awesome. So thank you very much, and let's get back into the video. Alright everybody, we're diving into the 920 Nightfall Ordeal, and we are using the Stag, and our goal today is going to be to play the supporting role. So I'm going to follow my teammates around, stick to them like glue, give them as many rifts as possible. I'm going to have to push up here a little bit because my anti-barrier weapon is very close range. There we go. My teammate up there is using the Whisper of the Worm, so he is able to chunk those barrier champions when he gets some shots on them. So I'm genuinely going to follow him around pretty much wherever he goes, because I always want to be able to provide support, not just for him, but also for me. I want to get my cooldowns back faster as well. So he touched my rift, and I got that Benevolent Dawn proc, and that allowed me to heal up. I'll throw him a grenade as well. Gonna try and stick that guy with an Anarchy shot, and as the damage ticks off and we go in, I'll hit him with a melee. That Empower is gonna come on. It's not gonna help us against the barrier champion because it died, but it will continue to give us benefits as we kill other things, and also Empower from our melee also gives us Benevolent Dawn, so we can continue the cycle, continue to just reset our cooldown. So this is what support is like when you are playing the Attunement of Grace. It's all about consistently giving people heals. That's what you're here for. And you know, it seems a little bit boring to play the support role, because you don't get to create massive explosions the same way you do with the Void Walker. It's just not, it's not as explosive and wild and crazy as some of the other subclasses, but it's incredibly effective. You can really feel the difference when you have a good Dawnblade that is throwing out heal grenades all the time versus a bad one. He says as his teammate is dead, he should have been standing in my rift. It's not my fault. I'm gonna heal myself and then get him up. But you know, one of the disappointments in Destiny 2 Shadowkeep is that they have not added health bars to the screen. You can't see how much health your teammates have. So if you are playing this kind of support oriented role, which you can do on the Warlock and the Titan to a much lesser degree, so it's a little bit more difficult to keep an eye on people to really to be a true healer, but you can do the best you can, right? And that's what we're trying to do right now, is just keep people as healthy as possible. Alright, now for this next bit, I do have my Well of Radiance, and I can plop it down, and I want to. But I just need to find a really good spot. I want to put it in a space where we'll be able to see a lot of enemies, so I'm going to push up, and hopefully the rest of the guys will come and stand in it. Now something really nice about being in the Well of Radiance is that it will continuously proc Benevolent Dawn as long as teammates are standing inside of it. So that guy is giving me procs of Benevolent Dawn, and because I've got Dynamo on, I'm still going to activate my Rift from time to time so that I get a little bit of extra super energy. There we go. We got the Overload Minotaur. The Nova Bomb took him out very effectively. Now some Harpies are going to spawn. I'm going to run up to these guys, and unfortunately they flew a little bit too far back, and I wasn't able to get Dynamo, but that's no big deal. We'll just kill him. It's fine. Something I mentioned probably in every single one of my videos is that you always want to try to make use of all of the different mods and mechanics that you have in your build. And one that is probably the trickiest to make use of on this particular setup with the Stag and Dynamo is Dynamo. Sometimes you just wind up not being in range of enemies to trigger the effect. Alright, this next room is going to be very, very busy. So the thing I want to do first is plop down a rift. And then as my teammate wants to push up, I'm going to give him a little bit of an overshield to help smooth things out. And let's go ahead and hit the Overload Minotaur. Nova Bomb's going to come out. My teammate's doing a great job. Now he wants to push up. I don't have to be beholden to the rift because I'm not using the Phoenix protocol. I can follow him around, just let the rift sit there. It's no big deal. and I can just continue maneuvering wherever my teammate goes. I go. I want to give him support as much as I possibly can. And of course, the support that I provide for them is also supporting me with more ability usage. Let's go ahead and try to get that heal grenade on him. I hope that was able to connect because that Hydra was doing a lot of damage. Let's go and go on a little bit of a solo mission here to stick an anarchy on the Hydra, let it tick down, get some nice damage. I'm going to do the objective. Unfortunately, nobody stepped in the rift, so I didn't get the Benevolent Dawn proc. So what I'm going to have to do right now is look for something to melee so I can trigger Empower, and that's going to hit my teammates, and that is going to give me Benevolent Dawn. Ooh. Let's just go ahead and do that. The Hydra was hitting me pretty hard. Had to use that heal on myself. But this is the flow. This is how you play the supporting role with the Attunement of Grace, and it's a lot of fun, and it's very effective in all difficulties across the game, and I especially love it in the 980 Nightfalls and the 980 Nightmare Hunts. The ability to keep people refreshed is so good. So we've got one more room to do that is incredibly challenging, so we're going to go through that and try to put all of the different techniques that we have into practice. We haven't gotten too much stag usage out of this one and not too much dynamo going on, but maybe that will change. I'm going to put this rift a little bit farther forward than maybe is optimal, but that's all because of dynamo. And just a couple more kills and I will have the Well of Radiance to plop down. So I'm going to move up and plop it down right here. It's a good space for me to hit those Cyclops, the one on the left, one on the right. They're both down now, and at this point I can just pew the enemies. And I got a teammate in the rift as well, helping me out. This is good. Now my guys are moving up a little bit. Unfortunately, my grenade came up a bit short there, so I wasn't able to trigger it, but I'll put down the baby rift to help him out instead. Now, unfortunately, right here, I don't have any abilities that I can use, except for that grenade that just came off cooldown at the perfect time. Trying to make sure I follow everybody around as best as possible. The 920 difficulty definitely allows for a bit more freedom of movement because enemies don't do insane damage. We got a nice proc of Nearly Departed there. Our rift is back up and running almost as soon as it went down, and that is courtesy of both Nearly Departed and Benevolent Dawn working together. So that was the main thing that I wanted to show right now, though, is that both of these things together make for a very potent cocktail. If you want your abilities back faster, then that's how you gotta do it. And there we go. That's going to do it for the overview of the Dawnblade's Attunement of Grace, as well as a quick look at some of the loadouts that I like to use for it, especially the Stag. I am in love with this thing. Before we close out completely, I want to give a special shout out to my Patreon supporters again, because you guys are freaking awesome and you deserve all the shout outs in the freaking world. Algino, Alex, Alfred, Avi, David, Evipen, Gabriel, Glenn, Jason, Jay, Joseph, Caliph, Khaled, Kunaka, Miniflame, Musa, Papa Nurse, Ronaldo, Roland, Soul, Slen, The Macman, Tower Watch, William, and Ziona. You guys, come on, you're the best in the frickin' world, and there is no denying that. So I hope you guys made it all the way to the end, but even if you didn't, you're gonna get thank yous in future videos, so you're gonna hear it eventually. So as always, if you enjoyed this video and you'd like to support the channel more than you already do just by watching, liking, subscribing, and commenting, you can head over to patreon.com/iBluairJgR to become a patron. Patreon supporters get bonus video content as well as exclusive ranks in my Discord server to let everyone know that you're freaking awesome. So as always, the name of the game is Destiny 2. The name of the channel is iBluairJgR. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.